Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you in part by our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Vanta Trading. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and with a new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker now available, it's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than tradeproacademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for anyone trading futures, check out vantatrading.com. Founded by Mr. W. Banks and Baba Yaga, they provide a ton of educational content with the focus of teaching aspiring traders how to build a repeatable, profitable process. Our exclusive discount code for Vanta can also be found in our free Discord server. We'll have all of those links and more in the episode description. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the China Shop. I'm your host, Kyle, and joining me today is Erik from ES Invests, as is tradition. You are listening to our midweek update, where we look at key news stories, discuss trade ideas, or just shoot the shit, depending on whether or not anything interesting has happened. First, if you'd like to reach out with any suggestions, corrections, trade ideas, or shitty memes, you can do that via email at 2bulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server. A bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. Now that we got all the business stuff out of the way, let's just figure out what's going on today. Erik, how you doing?
Hello.
You been watching anything in the news? Anything catching your eye? That has nothing to do with the submersible.
The submersible and the people underneath the water right now.
Fuck me, that's the only thing I've been caring about too.
Yeah.
They've got till 10 a.m. tomorrow to get rescued.
Well, I think there was a new update earlier today I noticed from the Coast Guard. So they said that they heard banging from the general area.
That. Yes. Yeah. Every in 30-minute intervals.
Yep.
But the problem is they don't have anything that can reach them. I think within, I don't know, it's like 1,000 miles as of yesterday away. So it should get there, but it's going to be tight, right?
Yeah. What?
There's it's like a UK vessel or something that has a claw that can reach down to the floor and like grab stuff. And then I think the maybe it was the Navy had a submersible with the decompression chamber that they were trying to get out there too.
Yeah. So it says the 22-foot submersible lost contact with its support ship in an hour and 48 minutes. And on board, there's a Brit, a Pakistani business family, 2 people from that, Titanic expert, CEO of Oceangate.
Oh, the CEO's there too?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything market related going on that we should be paying attention to?
I'm pretty sure that if you talk to enough traders, there's some sort of correlation between this submarine falling to the bottom of the ocean and the markets.
Right.
Man, could you imagine being in that fucking thing?
Oh, fuck.
Today's Wednesday.
4 days without a working toilet?
No toilet. Probably out of water soon, if not already, which that's kind of poetic that they're surrounded by water, but no water.
Right.
I don't know the food situation, but not worried about that just yet. It's the air that they're going to run out of fucking oxygen. That's got to be a terrible feeling, knowing that every breath you're taking in is removing a breath from the total capacity.
Wonder if that's going the Lord of the Flies down there. I really hope they find these people.
It's too small.
I want to know the story. I want to know the story that happens.
Man, wouldn't that be a hell of a fucking decision cycle to have to go through?
Uh-huh.
Because that's like the very stereotypical, kill X number to save X number versus everybody dies.
Right.
Fuck.
Oof. Man, there's going to be a movie about this thing when all's said and done.
Man.
All right, let's move on before we just waste the whole time talking about this. There was a story that we talked about on Friday. Dan and I covered.
Did you know that if the lack of oxygen doesn't get them, it's going to be hypothermia, they said?
Son of a bitch. Right, they run out of electricity.
Yeah, it says if a lack of oxygen doesn't get them, what's going to get them is going to be hypothermia,
Well, if it's
which
if they
is
have any of the same equipment that the subs have, we had some like candles almost that you burn that release oxygen. That if anything
right,
ever happened to our oxygen generation equipment, that we could light those things off.
right.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
wonder.
you need
That's actually
heaters
a good
too.
point. But I mean, that could also add a little bit of heat. But hypothermia, I imagine you could, with enough people, you could probably gather a bit of warmth.
And just yeah, all you're doing is getting closer then though.
Right. And then not really moving. Wow. The voyage costs $250,000.
That is interesting to me because that was about the same price that Richard Branson was charging for his 5 minutes of thrill at the
Hmm.
edge of the atmosphere. And I gotta
Yeah,
say, I
but
think that's much better value to go see the Titanic than to just go to the edge of space.
completely agree. And I think, but I mean, you also have to remember, like for uber rich people, none of it matters. It's
Yeah,
all, it's all just fucking monopoly money.
right.
2.5 miles down.
God damn, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's something. Okay, now I'm prepared to move on whenever you would like to. But
Okay,
yeah,
all
that
right.
that hypothermia comment actually surprised me. I wouldn't that wouldn't have been my guess.
Well, when I did my sub qualifications, I had to stop a simulated leak
Yep,
in a
I
pipe,
did that.
and doing that like was ocean water basically. And we're in the
Yep,
Northwest Pacific, so I think I got lucky. Mine was warm at 55 degrees, but fuck me, that's cold.
yep.
They're probably dealing with like 30s.
I did that when I was in ROTC.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
did you
we
go in
we
the
did.
room? Did you go in the room that
Yeah,
floods with
yep,
water? That thing is cool,
yep.
isn't it?
Dude, super fun. Absolutely fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do that once. Okay, now we can move on.
Yes, we can.
All right. Before we started here, I sent you a story about Greystone, or not Greystone, BlackRock is looking
Yep.
at our filing for a Bitcoin ETF. And one of our Discord members here was asking about the crypto stocks, like Coinbase, like the different exchanges, Hut, Riot, wanting to know if I think his idea was that BlackRock being a positive catalyst for Bitcoin, and with the names have been going sideways for so long, he's seeing this as a positive for the space in general. Kind of curious. I don't know how much you follow crypto. I've been a little bit still skittish of crypto in general, just because it seems like the SEC is on a bit of a mission.
Yeah, I think the way I think about crypto is it's still a long play, like long term. But
Hmm.
I'm also still bullish in Bitcoin, at least until broader circumstances change, which hopefully they don't go that direction. But I acknowledge it could. But yeah, I think it's the hypothesis of your listener is like that's exactly right. Like that's the exact right way to think about these kinds
Hmm.
of things because you have to view just about any aspect of progression of mainstream Bitcoin adoption as bullish. I
Yeah.
don't think that it would solve the problems for a lot of these companies. I actually had a ratio call diagonal on in Hut that it was a full loss. Like I think it was a $15,000 trade and I lost all of it
Oh wow.
over the life cycle. Well, it was also cryptocurrency, right? So I
Yeah.
knew the overwhelming likelihood on how that trade was going to go. It was sized very carefully for that exact reason.
Hmm.
But yeah, the point being is I don't think BlackRock starting an ETF, even if they chose to include something like Hut, which they're going to struggle to do that logically, but there are some bigger players that I do think would make sense to include in some sort of ETF. So one of the issues I think they're going to have is getting a reasonable distribution of semi-stable companies
Okay,
into.
well that's interesting. Then when you say when we're thinking of an ETF, you think they're going to be grabbing a bunch of different stocks to hold, as opposed to just holding the cryptocurrency itself.
I haven't looked at the way that they're talking about structuring it, so I could be speaking out of turn. But
Hmm.
my guess point, let me see. BlackRock is requesting the SEC's approval for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Okay, so yeah, I'm completely off base. They're not looking at this. Isn't like a gold miners style ETF. This is something that he's
Right.
trying to track the spot price of, and then Coinbase would be a custodial partner in this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay,
isn't is Coinbase the one that's in trouble right now with the SEC, or is that a different one that I'm thinking of?
I honestly think, well, I don't know about Coinbase. I know the
Was it
what's the name of their
Binance? I think it
company?
was one
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
got in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Exactly. So that dude's in trouble. They're thinking for essentially torpedoing the other company, but yeah, I don't know if Coinbase is in trouble right now. Who the fuck knows, man? It's all
Coinbase may not be.
yeah. As we talk about it, it's like straight up just the Wild West.
I know, I know. And I think that's what scared a lot of people off from it. But I mean, I don't know. BlackRock getting involved in Bitcoin could be the thing that helps stabilize, or at least the start of that, right? Because BlackRock is huge.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking through the filing right now and the actual filing, and there's some really really interesting sections. Like if you go to page 24 of the filing, there's conversation about like a hard fork in the Bitcoin network and essentially how BlackRock will behave in those instances. It's I think the way I look at something like this is at least the structure as I'm seeing it. I don't really see that this is gonna offset risk. Like if you wanted to hold a cryptocurrency, you're probably better off just holding spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't see it's like the same thing. Like if you wanted to hold dollars, would you buy a dollar ETF or would you buy
Right.
dollars?
Yeah, fair enough.
Like I don't see the real benefit here, at least as of right now. The especially because Bitcoin has so much volatility in it, I'm sure that their expenses are probably going to be pretty meaningful. I think this does open the door though to other cryptocurrency, kind of like the structure I was talking about before,
Hmm.
where they hold mining companies and cryptocurrency companies. I do think that there's an argument for that,
Hmm.
but I just think right now it's too early. I mean, even if you look over the last 2 years, Coinbase has fallen from 368.90 to a low of 31.55 just
Right.
within 2 years. So that kind of volatility is just massive.
Still putting in lower highs. I mean, on the
Yep.
one hand, at least it looks like it's in a good range and it's kind of compressing. So, I mean, that's at least it's not falling anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can only lose so much value. So yeah, I suppose.
Right. So I guess if this ETF is your sole reason, then the only one who really stands to benefit substantially would be Coinbase, right?
Hmm.
Because they'd be the custodians of the actual holdings.
I think that's accurate, and I also still think it would be bullish for Bitcoin in general, like we were talking about
Hmm.
before. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for the actual asset.
exactly,
Yeah,
Bitcoin outright. Yep.
and I think we've actually been seeing that. But okay, so let's say that for some reason you did want to just stick with Coinbase, maybe because you want to be able to trade options or something. Like, what would the trade be there?
For me, it's too early. There would be no trade
Hmm.
as of yet, and that's not really.
What do you need to see then?
Yeah, exactly. That's not designed to be a cop out. It's I would need to see the progress of the filing essentially,
Okay,
because this isn't going to immediately get approved. So I
right.
would want to see how that discussion goes. And then otherwise, just from a more strategic standpoint, or I guess tactical standpoint, Coin has earnings coming up in
Hmm.
August on 8 August. So that would also be part of my calculus. Like, do I want to hold through earnings or do I want to wait until we get through earnings? I would be not super concerned about earnings here because we are so range bound between
Hmm.
31 and 80, which is a weird range to say, but that is
That's
kind of the
right.
recent range for the year. So, yeah, I think I would wait until one of two things: either the progress of the filing starts to look more promising, or two, decide whether or not I would want to enter before or after earnings. If I were to enter, I would just have pretty tight risk control. I see two kind of key areas. The one I would be most interested in for like a short term directional assumption would
Hmm.
be something like 46.85 or 47, 48, maybe 48, 48 as like near term support. But
Yeah.
like right now, I wouldn't be bullish in the meantime. So the only thing I would be attempting to play would be the positive movement after that filing goes through.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't want to enter and hold something I'm not bullish in waiting for that event unless it looked like it was more likely to go through and be approved and not have a bunch of hangups. That's my guess. So the short answer is I would wait until I see the filing making better progress. And then when that happens, I would look to structure a trade around it, and it would be influenced by where we're at around that earnings.
All right. No, that makes perfect sense. I like that answer.
Yeah.
Friends, family, and loved ones, I bet you haven't purchased a Father's Day gift yet, have you? Not to fear, the leaders in below the waist grooming are here. I'm talking about our friends at Manscaped. They're saving the day yet again with the total package for father figure in your life this year. It's time to upgrade his game from waist to face with this exclusive offer. Have him join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get 20% off and free shipping with the code 2bulls at manscaped.com. I'm supposed to tell a funny manscaping story or talk about how hairy my dad is, but I'm really not that close with my father. He does like a good beard trimmer, though. But for those of you who are familiar with your father's grooming routines, or lack thereof, then you can start with the ultimate Father's Day MVP, the Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, he'll find their signature Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver, ball deodorant, crop reviver, toner, and performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all of his goodies. And we can't forget about the moneymaker. Manscaped has absolutely changed the game with their new Beard Hedger Pro Kit for fathers around the world. Included is the Beard Hedger Trimmer, Beard Shampoo and Conditioner, Beard Oil, Beard Balm, and 2 free gifts with their signature beard comb and scissors. This is the perfect gift for those of us who have had a normal childhood. And we all know dads love comfort. If his grooming routine is already dialed in, make sure to hook him up with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. These are without a doubt the best boxers for men of all ages, and it's sure to give you that awkward moment we all love when your dad sees you bought him underwear for Father's Day. So whether he's mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, or golfing in the sun, these moisture-wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2bulls at manscaped.com. It's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code 2bulls. Make this Father's Day one you won't forget with manscaped.com. If I remember, you think you left us with some homework last week?
Yeah. What was it?
You wanted to know about what you should do with your 700 shares of IWM that were cover calls that you had on them.
Correct.
You had 7/16 June 182 calls that you were short, and you were long 700 shares, cost basis of 182,
Yep.
and you did not care what happened to the stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was kind of curious what you did with it. My instinct was to let them expire and then try to just sell more calls later at near-term support, which I had mapped out, but I don't have that chart in front of me. It was at my upstairs.
You mean sell more puts?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yes, you're right.
You
Good.
said sell more
Sell more
calls.
puts.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you arrive at that answer?
Well, when I looked at the cost to roll versus, because they're so deep in the money, I mean, at the time they were trading around 188, 186 in that range, the difference in the premium that you get from rolling versus just letting it go and selling puts, I think you'd actually, because that was one of the things you said, you wanted to maximize your earning potential. And it
Exactly.
looked like it was an extra 10 cents a share or a contract buffer that you could get by letting it expire and just opening up a new short put position.
Yep. Yeah, that's the exact correct analysis. So what in that kind of scenario, what I like to do is exactly that. See how far in the money I am, see what roles are available to me, see how
Mm-hmm.
much how much money, what kind of credit I would receive for those roles, and then just make a business decision based on how much money do I get there versus how much money do I get somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing to kind of layer on top of that is from a technical standpoint, I do believe that IWM has
Yeah.
rallied pretty hard. And I fully anticipate it to kind of come back down a bit and start basing if it holds here, which it already isn't. Like one of the near term ranges I had established for it was like 185 to 188 and a half.
Yep.
And it's already fallen
Yep.
below that 185. So, and I
Yeah.
fully anticipated. So
That was exactly my other thought, was like, you let it go there, get out at your 182, and then try to sell more puts down, in that lower distribution or the bottom end of this range that we've been bouncing around in.
yeah, so and that's exactly what I did. So I let those all get called away. I flattened out, and then I offered more risk yesterday at the 181 short puts, collecting $1.20, and those are out in 3 July. That's exactly what I did.
And then where's your? That's interesting that that's your spot. So that's basically the 3 day little pause before the push up into the high 180s. Looks like it's about the start of that.
Wait, what do you mean? What?
I'm just trying to see how you came up with that 181 strike. Why was that the
Oh,
area you picked?
oh, that's literally just based on delta and theta decay. It doesn't matter to me where it is on
Okay.
the chart. Yeah, that's
Okay.
especially with, and that's a great question actually. When I'm not trying to sell short puts around a perceived level of support in the covered triangle, at least at the initial onset, because I genuinely don't care.
Oh.
Like if these get assigned or don't, it is like I don't care at all. So
Mm-hmm.
these are just essentially just bait out floating in the water. But because of where we were at, I offered a very small size. So out of the
Yes.
initial allocation I gave to the trade, because I perceived us at near term highs, expecting at least some kind of pullback here, I offered a smaller initial outlay, which is why I don't care if these get assigned or they
Mm-hmm.
don't. It's all inconsequential. And then what I'll do is, as I add more short puts, I start to care more about where I put
Mm-hmm.
them, what it does to my basis, how do I
That
feel
makes a
about
lot
the
of sense.
propensity to take in more inventory in addition, that kind of stuff. Because one other note on this is, when let's say I have, 500 shares at 180, and I want to, and let's just say that's 20% of my total allocation for, or the initial, that's 20% of the total allocation for the initial is 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have 80% capital left to use.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I add more to the trade, my ability to meaningfully adjust the basis changes.
Yeah.
The more money you put into the trade, the more money you have to put in to make the same level of adjustment.
Right.
So when I first put the trade out, I don't really care that much. But as I start to scale, I care a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
because there's silver bullets that you're using each time.
That's interesting.
And this, to be clear, this essentially only applies to the coverage triangle with IWM, because I am very much against adding to losing trades. There's two strategies I will do that to. One is this, one of them is the ratio call diagonal,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, not always, sometimes.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I just think it's an important call out there.
Yeah, and that's really interesting too that this is the strategy that you utilize that because when I was trying to play around with like the cover calls and the wheel, which is kind of what this is, but it's just a more nuanced version of that, I think, right? More detailed and better, I would call it actually. That was the part I
Yeah,
was missing was the keeping some capital in reserve so you can get you could adjust that cost basis, and it has to be a stock like you said that you want to hold for a long time. Like
yes,
I wouldn't be doing that with AMC.
yep, I agree with that.
All right, well, fucking fascinating. What do you got for us for next week?
Who fucking knows? No idea. I just released a video actually on like a simplified version of the coverage triangle, exactly what we're talking about
Oh fuck yeah,
now.
give me that. I'll link
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then I don't really know what's on the docket for next week yet. There's some interesting positions starting to come into vogue next week. So we have earnings for Carnival Cruise Lines, for Walgreens, for Paychex, for Nike. So there are some earnings coming in that I am going to begin eyeballing next week. There's also Micron, General Mills. I like trading earnings in all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh, is there some homework I should do to learn more about how volatility works in the lead up to earnings and after?
I think a good piece of homework for you would be to take a look at earnings next week and create a paper trade in whichever one that you want. It's not limited to just the earnings play though. So you can trade, like you're talking about, the expansion into earnings and then post earnings, whatever you think you would want to do.
Okay. Do you have any good resources on learning more about those, how that volatility works in the lead up into earnings? I'm guessing you have a video on that, right?
Yeah, I'm nearly positive. I just have to think about because I have a video called Trading Earnings with Options. I don't know if it's out yet. Nope, not out yet.
Ah, shit. Okay. Well,
But I do have a video on short straddle. I have 2 videos for you that'll still hit it. I
okay.
talk about the same fucking broken record. So one of them is like an actual earnings play that like a couple actual earnings plays that I had on. So it'll give you some ideas. And then the second video
hmm
talks through essentially 5 of my go-to strategies and what conditions I trade them in and how. So that will also go into it.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So those 2 will
All
be
right,
kind of a
perfect.
peripheral version until that other video comes out, but that doesn't come out until next month.
Ah, dang it. All right. Okay, well, it sounds good. All right, so look at earnings for next week, create some paper trades. We've got some resources in the episode description that'll be available if anybody wants to follow along. But I think that's going to take us to the end today. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who stuck around to the end, and especially to Erik for hanging out, even though he kind of derailed.
Yeah, man. Thank me.
Even though you derailed the beginning a little bit, but
I
that's
didn't
okay.
derail. I stayed on the poignant topic.
Oh, I guess. Oh, you just kept me from turning.
Right.
You just
The
kept
problem
grabbing the
is,
wheel.
yeah, you were trying to run off topic, but I was on the correct topic.
Fair enough. Well, if you'd like to know more about Erik and how he trades, make sure you check out that YouTube channel at ESInvest. You can check us out at twobullsinachinashop.com. Be back soon with another exciting episode. But till then, slap that 5-star rating like you're firing a and take care.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks in the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.